Hi, my name is Krishnan. Today I'll be dealing with the Hindu news analysis discussion. So these are the 5 articles that we'll be doing today. And towards the end, we'll have a look at the prelims and mains practice questions. So let us go into the topic. So the first topic that we'll be seeing today is recently the government had decided that from something called as from T+2 we are going to shift to T+1. So what is this? This we'll see. So what happens is whenever you trade on stock market, right? It will on the day that you trade plus 2 days it will take for the settlement to get done. So what we are doing is from 2 days we are going to become 1 day. So this is a huge thing because so far only China has done it and we are the second largest market to do it. Even countries like Canada, US, European Union, they haven't done it. So we are going to change from the T+2 to T+1. So what is all this about? So we'll see. First, whenever you trade in stocks, right? If you trade in stocks, first there's a process called execution, then clearing, and finally settlement. So in the process of clearing, what you do is you will determine the obligation of party that is going to buy and party that is going to receive, and what are you going to buy and what are you going to sell. So in this process, this is called clearing function. So in this process, what will happen is risk assessment will also happen. So what you'll do in this process, you will ensure that the person who is buying is having enough money to buy it. So once risk assessment is done, finally you'll go to settlement where the buyer gets his stock. So these are the process whenever you trade in stocks. So first is execution, clearing, and then settlement. So but what you should know is before you get into all these things, first what you should do, you should purchase the stock, right? So here we are telling all of this is preceded by sale or purchase of stock. So this is denoted by T. So what it means is whenever T is there, it means trade is executed on that particular day. So T, you should know what T is. So T only means trade is executed on that particular day. So you start trade and then other 3 processes that we saw earlier, right? It starts. Excuse. So what we are telling here is earlier clearing took place the next day followed by another day after settlement. So totally it took 2 days. So hence we wrote T+2. So for execution, settlement, everything it took 2 days after T, that is on the day when trade took place. Now we are going to become 1. So that is what you should know. You should know what is T. T is the day on which trade is taking place, right? T is the day on which trade is taking place, and +1 2 days for execution, settlement, and things like that. But now it is going to become T+1. So this they might ask as a prelims question. They might ask T+1 was in the news. This is related to what? So just have this in mind. So how is a Bombay Stock Exchange gearing up for this? They are updating all their security settlement data. They are enhancing their real-time monitoring systems and margin computation also. They are doing it in a very faster pace, and settlement activities also they are trying to do it with reduced time cycles. So next we'll see, even in this digital age, why we are not able to do instant settlement. That is because a lot of time is required for brokers to crystallize your obligations. So brokers should know what are the obligations, what is the seller supposed to do, what is the buyer supposed to do. So the brokers should know that, right? So for that some time will take, and some time is also taken by the clearing houses. Clearing houses are the final places where you will get your stocks and get your stocks. So some time is also taken by the clearing houses. So brokers take some time and then clearing houses take some time. That is why we are not able to do instant settlement. In fact, experts say not just instant payment, we cannot do even T+0. So even that is difficult, like that experts in the field are saying. So it will take some time. So globally people are doing 2+1. One more thing that you should know is investors cannot directly buy or sell shares. everything is done by stockbrokers. Of course, investors can open their own account. They can have a demat account through their banks, but they cannot directly trade. They'll have to do it through stockbrokers. So so we all know, right? Whenever a new change comes, there are always issues with transition. So what are the issues with transition? So end-to-end process redesign. So from top to bottom, everything should be redesigned. And of course, this is going to be a new technology, so investment should be there. And real-time processing capability, you should improve that, right? Real-time processing capability. So if you are going to reduce the time, that real time itself, you should have a lot of processing capability. So you should work on that. Next, what they are telling is you can actually give extra time for migration. So we are moving from this process to that process, so you please give us extra time for migration. So this is also people inside the industry are telling, because this is a swift change, so they are telling give us some time for migration. Next, one thing that you should know is a lot of investors are not really from India, right? You might have read in economics that people from other countries can also invest in Indian stock exchange. So time zone difference and all is there for overseas investors. So we need to look into those things. So give us some time, like that industry insiders are telling. But the thing is, what will happen if you are constantly delaying it? For example, 2 days it used to happen right earlier. So we had issues with it. What is that is, if you're buying on a particular day and you're going to get the value of it only after 2 days, what will be there? Price variance will be there. So you're buying at a particular price, by the time it comes to you, there is a price variance. So that problem was there. And because of that, there was, what happened, asset price and execution price will be different. So asset price is the real value of the asset, and execution price is the price at which you're buying it. So what will happen, these things will also deviate. So these are the problems with delay. So these are the few issues. But what happened, benefits, you have a lot of benefits. So rotation of money would be swifter. Broker will have less margin, right? So you'll know the value of the stocks, so broker cannot get a lot of money from you, so his margin will go down, so you will have more money. Your obligations, that is whatever you are supposed to give, it will becomes a day shorter. Receipt, whatever you are supposed to receive, it becomes a day earlier. So because of this, retail buyers, that is traders, our margin obligations, whatever we are supposed to give to the stockbrokers, that will also come down, so we can have more money, more profit for buyers. So these are the issues with the delay, and these are the benefits that you get because of this T+1 settlement. So I hope you understood. This is a very small topic. You might have a prelims question from it as to what is T+1, or what are the benefits that you might get out of it, and things like that. Let us go on to the next topic. This is a very important topic. So what has happened is, recently a man from Punjab, he converted to Islam and married a Muslim girl, because the girl was a minor, and if he had married according to Hindu law, what would have happened is he might have been behind bars. But since he converted to Islam and the girl was already a Muslim, she was a minor, she was less than 18 years old, he was allowed to marry. And the Punjab High Court upheld the verdict, telling Muslim girls can get married before they turn 18. That is, Muslim girls can get married before they become a major. So this has raised a lot of eyebrows across the country, and the Supreme Court has noticed it. So what they are going to do is, they are going to examine whether this practice, that is adult husband can marry a girl who is still a minor, that is 15 years of age, or girls who have not crossed 18 years of age. Is it possible for adult man, a fully grown man, to marry a minor? So there are a lot of obscurity surrounding it. That is, the laws are not clear surrounding this, because in 2017 itself, Supreme Court said physical intercourse of a husband with a minor wife is rape. For example, if let's say a husband who's an adult is getting married to a girl who's a minor, even if the marriage is valid, if the man tries to have consensual sex with his own wife, if she happens to be a minor, that is rape. This is what the 2017 Supreme Court verdict said. But what the Punjab High Court has said, he said, it said the marriage is valid, and laws will not apply there. So what has happened? So we'll see why Supreme Court is doing this now, because the Punjab and Haryana High Court said if a girl attains puberty, she can get married according to the Muslim personal law. And what will happen? It said POCSO, Prevention of Children from Sexual Offences Act, and Prevention of Child Marriage Act. Both these acts will not apply to the girl. So this is actually quite controversial, right? So, but what the Supreme Court has said in its judgment is, we are going to consider this, but in the meanwhile, this judgment that the Punjab and the Haryana High Court has given will not set a precedence to other courts. So other courts should not take a cue from this, and they should not follow this. So this is what they are telling. The Supreme Court is also asking the central government to consider, let's say there are two adults, young adults, but they are not 18 yet. Let's say they are 16 or 17, and but two of them are in a relationship, and if the sexual activity is consensual, Supreme Court is telling do not apply POCSO to it. But what has happened is the union government has told right now they will not do anything related to these areas. So these are the things that are in the news. So in the same line, what you should see is the government is also considering changing the age of marriage of girls from 18 to 21. So right now it is 18, right? 18 for girls and 21 for boys. So government is considering for girls also to make it 21. Like that they are considering. So, but what has happened is National Commission for Women and National Commission for Protection of Child Rights, they are telling bring age of Muslim girls on par with girls of other religion. See, for example, if you take the Indian Christian Marriage Act, Parsi Marriage, Special Marriage Act, Hindu Marriage Act, in all these things, what has happened? Hindu girls get married after they can get married after they turn 18 only. But for Muslim personal law alone says if a girl attains puberty, if she is 15, she can get married. So they are telling this is not good for the girls. We'll see why it is not good for the girls in the next slide. But one more thing we should see is in census 2011, what we saw a high child marriage prevalence in close to 70 districts across 13 states. So these are the states with high child marriage prevalence, with Assam in the top. So of course there are a lot of improvements over the years. So in the NFHS 5 we saw there are a lot of examples that are given in the newspaper, but it will be difficult for you to remember in the exam. So you try to remember Madhya Pradesh alone, because it has made huge improvements from 32.4% in NFHS 4. It has gone down to 23.1%. So this is a good thing. So child marriages are coming down only across the country. So I hope you understood this. So why we are telling early marriage is bad is women will not have reproductive rights if they get married early. For example, what are reproductive rights? I mean that a woman should decide when she'll have baby, how many babies she'll have, what is the space in between two babies, that she should decide. That is reproductive rights. What she will do with her body, she'll decide. If she wants to give birth, if she wants to abort, that she should decide. But if she gets married very early, if she gets married as a minor, she lose all these rights. So that is one problem. So if they get married early, next what will happen? No education, there will not be no autonomy, they cannot think on their own, no livelihood options. That is, they will not have jobs, so they'll have to be dependent on their husbands. And we also found out that 59% of girls in the 15 to 19 year category are anemic, which means their blood levels are very low, they are pale, weak. Next is, what will happen? Mother also will be in poor health, child also will have poor health. Next, nutritional status, they will not get good nutrition, that the mother will not know what are the right kind of foods that she should give. And since she is not educated, she is not having a job, she'll be poor, she cannot give her child good food. So all these problems are there if the child gets married very early. So girls should not get married very early. That is why government is doing a lot of things. But Muslim personal law allows girl child to get married early. And we also saw in India child marriage prevalence is a bit high across 70 districts in India. So, and we also saw why early marriage is bad. Next we'll see a small case study that was done in anthropological study in West Bengal. So what we see is girls who had at least 10 years of schooling, that is, let's say at least if she started in first standard, at least if she went to 10th standard, what she is doing is radically against the wishes of the family and her husband. She is deciding to have only one child. This is a very rebel kind of thing, right? When a woman does this, and she's able to give better nutrition to a child, she's able to take better care of a child, so she's able to do these things. If she has gone to at least 10 years of schooling, if she has done, she's able to do these things. So next we'll see what are the issues that are coming because of a good law. So Prevention of Child Marriage Act, it is a good act, right? But there are also some issues. So what is happening is, for a girl it is 18, for boy it is 21, right, to get married. So parents are misusing it if their children are marrying against their wishes. So what law commission is telling, you reduce the age of both boys and girls to 18. You do not increase to 21, you reduce both to 18, because if boys and girls can vote when they turn 18, why can't they get married when they turn 18, like that law commission is telling. So this is all about this news article. I hope you understood this. Let us go on to the next article. So this article is about what are the changes that the Indian business community is expecting from the union government, because budget is going to come in a month. So they are telling these are the things that we are expecting from the government. So why is it in news? Because budget is going to come, so a lot of expectations. So has government delivered on these expectations? Yes. What have they delivered? Competitive tax rates have come, GST they have introduced. Then if there are any disputes resolution schemes are there, and earlier you had a lot of distortions that they have eliminated. So what this has done, this has led to globally aligned tax framework, that is internationally what the world community is following, that we are following right now. So that is called globally aligned tax framework, and this has enhanced tax buoyancy. So what is tax buoyancy is, if your increase in tax rate, if it is getting reflected in your GDP, then it is called tax buoyancy. So whatever the government has done over the years, it has led to globally aligned tax framework and enhanced tax buoyancy. So this time what these business people are expecting from the government, they are expecting global minimum tax. So this you might have read or heard somebody. So in G20 they are talking about this. So all the MNCs which are involved in tax avoidance and tax evasion, they'll have to follow this. So globally they'll have to pay a very minimum tax. So G20 and OECD, they have come up with this. So the business people are telling the government should focus on this area, that is on global minimum tax. And next thing is, they are talking about a harmonization of the capital gains tax regime. What is the capital gains tax regime? What is capital gains? If you buy a stock, you'll get gains, right? So that is capital gains. You'll have to pay tax for it. So they are telling that also you harmonize with the rest of the world. What internationally they are following, that you follow, like that telling. And importantly, whenever we talk about budget, finance and things like that, now we'll have to talk about financing climate goals also, right? Because that is also globally, it is getting a lot of traction. So those things are there. And they're telling you focus on startups also. A lot of startups are having a lot of problems with relation to how they are taxed and things like that. So they are telling you focus on these areas. So what they are telling, if you focus on these areas, you will have something called as tax certainty. So if there is tax certainty, the international community, business community will be happy. So they'll know this is our business, this is the tax that we are supposed to pay. So they'll know that, right? So for that only they are telling all these things will lead to tax certainty. So to improve tax certainty, what are the suggestions they are telling? They are telling in G20 or OECD, they have come up with a new tax proposal, that is jurisdiction by jurisdiction global minimum tax of 15% on MNCs. Because I told you, right, globally they should have at least 15% of taxation on MNCs, because MNCs make a lot of profit in a particular country, and they do not they tell that their revenues came from some other country, and they'll not pay tax in the country. So big companies are doing this. So the G20 is coming up with something called global minimum tax. So that they are telling, if you do this, there will be tax certainty, and in this budget you start doing it. And they're telling internationally, England, Canada, Netherlands, they've all started doing it. They have started talking with stakeholders, that is people who are involved. They have started talking with them. So you also do that. So this is what G20 is doing, right? So India, you're going to be G20 president this year, so you also need to start like that. They are telling. So if you do all these things, what will happen? Tax certainty will be there. That only they are trying to tell. So what they are telling, what else these business people are expecting? They are telling this capital gains tax regime is there, right? So there is a lot of problems in it. For example, some person might sell it in 1 year, some person might sell it in 2 year. That is differential holding periods. So in that there are a lot of tax rate issues and things like that. The laws are not clear, or it is not harmonization is not there. So they're telling you revisit those areas. So I already told you what capital gains is. Capital gains means you are selling your stock. You might have bought it for 30 rupees and you are selling it for 50 rupees. You get 50 rupees, 20 rupees profit you are getting. That profit is taxed. But what they are telling is those laws surrounding those areas are not clear, so you revisit it. So where are the areas it is not clear? It is not clear in how you classify the asset. Holding period is different, tax rates are different, so you're telling you go and have a look at it again. So first step, what they are telling is, first you roll out a draft legislation. Once you do that, a lot of people will give their opinions, and then you will know what you should do in the next step. So what that will do, that will increase your tax certainty. So why they are telling this is, they are giving one example. What example? Earlier in 2017 or 18 budget, what they did is they levied a tax on long-term capital gains on listed securities. So that actually led to a lot of confusion and people didn't know how this will work. So they're telling you don't do anything like this. You revisit those areas, and with stakeholder consultation you come up with a better law, like that they are telling. So next, as usual, whatever we see, we should link it with the environmental and the green energy aspects of it. So here also the author is telling, so RBI recently came up with the 160 billion sovereign green bonds, right? So we have a lot of global commitments. So this author is telling, so people who are investing in these energy bonds, right, he's telling you give them tax exemption. So if people are buying these green bonds that are sold by RBI, you give them tax exemption. For example, there will be return on these bonds, right? People will make profit. There will be interest on these bonds. So the author is telling you give them tax benefits so that more and more people will buy green energy bonds. And he's telling you can also give them accelerated tax depreciation. So recently we saw about green hydrogen mission also, right? Like 2-3 weeks back I covered it about green hydrogen mission. So the author is telling people who are doing everything in India, if they are buying the product in India, if they are end use, everything, if they are manufacturing, if the product, everything comes from India, then you give them 15% corporate tax rate concession. So this will also incentivize people to focus on buying and making in India, and also focus on green energy things. And they're telling extend the sunset clause by 3-4 years. Already that we have, it is expiring in 2024. So that is just 1 year. After that, the laws will not apply to people who invest in all these green energy area. So they're telling you extend the sunset clause for the next 3-5 years. This will incentivize industry players who are in the green energy areas. So this we saw for green energy. Next we'll see what is there for startups. So what is ESOP? ESOP is when a startup gives its stake to its employees, then it is called ESOP. So what happened? So a lot of startups gave their employees their stocks. So and the government taxed them on it, but now this has been deferred. So right now they are telling will not tax you, but will not tax you only if your company value is less than 1 billion rupees. So the author is arguing this should be removed, and all startups with less than 10 years experience should be eligible for it. And how you are telling if you are a startup with less than 10 years. Earlier we used to go and get this approval from government. The author is telling self-declaration should be enough. So startup should be able to self-declare that they are a startup with less than 10 years of experience. So he is telling if you encourage startups like this, more and more job creation will be there. Like that he's telling. So this is a very important article, right? So we saw what are the areas that the government should focus to bring in tax certainty, and what is global minimum tax, and what are the areas we should focus green energy, and how we should encourage startups. Those things we saw. So keep all this in mind. This is very important. Now we'll go on to the next topic. So one more thing is that there's something called as RV Ishwar committee, which focused on income tax simplification. So this author is telling whatever Justice RV Ishwar told, you consider it and you try to implement it. Next is telling tax laws are very difficult. So you establish an institute which will focus only on simplification of tax laws. So he's telling do that also. Next is telling growth is also necessary, but you have to balance that with good fiscal policy, and the tax laws, everything should be transparent. There should be certainty in it, and there should be predictability. We should know what the government is trying to do. So he's telling if you focus on these areas, it will be very good for the 2023 budget. So this is what this article is about. Let us now move on to the next article. So this is an environment issue. So right now of late UPSC is giving importance to environment issues. So what you should know in this article is there's a place called Mandro Turuttu, and in fact people are calling them first climate change refugees of India. So people have started leaving this area. Why? Because of the land that they're living in is facing subsidence, that is, it is going down, and their agriculture productivity has come down. So what is the reason? Mainly anthropogenic, that is man-made reasons only. This is not naturally happening. Man-made reasons only. Of course, you know what is man-made reason. That is in that river there is unregulated sand mining, sand mafias. You might have read about it. They just come in the night and they take all the sand from the river. Next, what happened is they constructed a dam, Tenmala Dam. Because of that, whatever sediment that was left for the river, that was also blocked by this dam. So these are the problems. So climatic refugees. So this is very important. Climate related refugees. Why? Because of sand mining in the riverbed and construction of dams. So what has happened? A lot of people are working on these areas to see how this can be reversed, to how to make this place a very productive place. So what they are telling is you integrate earth science and social science. So if you do this, we can retrieve the landscape. So what is integrating earth science and social science? You have a proper human nature relationship. Then naturally you can retrieve the landscape. And next what they are telling is you control sand mining in the Ashtamudi Lake. So only because people are, these mafias are taking the sand from Ashtamudi Lake, these problems are coming. So once if you control the sand mining, these problems will reduce. And they are telling you replace the whatever construction method you are following now, you replace it with well-studied engineering techniques. So you understand, right? So these are the problems. So next what they are telling, you try to do artificial sedimentation. So that is also one way. And next they are telling whatever the estuaries are there, that you try to protect. So if you do all this, you can save this place, or else everybody will have to leave this area. Like that they are telling. So you should know about this Ashtamudi Lake. It is a very famous lake in Kerala. So it is called the gateway of backwaters of Kerala. It is on river Kallada. So Ashtamudi means, Ashta means 8 in Sanskrit, you all know it. So Ashtamudi means 8 braids. Braid means in hair. So like 8 braids. So Ashtamudi is like this. So it is called Ashtamudi. So see, it is like a palm tree, right? So it has this palm shaped topography with multiple branches. And you should know this Ashtamudi is a Ramsar site with international importance. So Ashtamudi wetland, Ashtamudi lake, what is happening? Unregulated sand mining, sand mafias are working there. So because of that, land subsidence and agriculture productivity is going down. So people are leaving that place. So this is what this news article is about. Let us go to the last article of the day. So there's something called butterfly called Noble's Helen. So this is in Arunachal Pradesh. It has become the newest butterfly. This is called Noble Helen. So you see, it is characterized by, see this dorsal white spot. So that's how you find a Noble's Helen. So we'll see about it. Why is it in news? Because first time we have recorded this in India. It's a swallowtail buffalo. So and what has happened? It has disappeared from its native ranges. What is its native ranges? Myanmar, South China, and Vietnam. It is no longer seen there, but first time in India we are seeing it in Arunachal Pradesh. In Arunachal Pradesh, where we are seeing it in Namadafa. Have you heard of Namadafa National Park? It is a very important national park in Arunachal Pradesh. You might have heard about Namadafa flying squirrel, right? So I hope you know this national park. You can see this Noble's Helen. So what is its scientific name? In exam they will not ask scientific name, but you just know it. It is called the Papilio nobili. So how do you find it? It has a white spot, and you have this complete row of red lunals on the underside of the hing wing. So in this behind the part of the wing, you have red color. So with that you will find it is a noble helen. So you can also find it in Thailand. It has not disappeared, but it is very rare to find it there. So why should you study butterfly? Why should you conserve them? It is a vital indicator of biodiversity and ecosystem. So if a area is if a forest area is good or not, how you define? If there are butterflies, it means the area is good, the forest area is good. Like that you should come to a conclusion. So for that is why you should conserve butterflies. So Namadafa National Park, you should know about it. It's very important. It's a very famous and rich in very biodiversity and things like that. So what are its specialities? It is the easternmost tiger reserve. So in the eastern end of India, you have Namadafa. So after that, if you cross, you'll go to Myanmar. So, and this is the largest protected area in eastern Himalayas. This is a part of the Himalayas, that also you should know. And I told you, right, it is the home to the Namadafa flying squirrel. It is critically endangered. And tributary of Brahmaputra, Navo Dehing, it flows through Namadafa. So all these 5 points are very important. Keep it in mind. So this is about the 5 articles that we will be seeing today. So we'll go on to the prelims practice question. Let's see if you are able to answer this. What is the measure of actual or observed change in tax revenue relative to GDP? So we saw this, right? So if tax revenue is increasing and if GDP is increasing, if tax revenue is decreasing and if GDP is decreasing, what is it called? It is called tax buoyancy. So Noble Helen, recently seen in the news, is related to what? So these are the options. Like the first option, I put it in a very funny way. A nun who was canonized by Vatican. Canonized means giving saint status. So since it was Noble Helen, I thought I'll put this funny option, but that is not the answer. So we saw it, right? It is a butterfly which was spotted in Namadapa National Park. So the main question is, with preparations for 2023 budget going on in full swing, what are the areas that you think should get prioritized so that India is shown as an attractive destination to invest? So in the first article we saw a lot of areas, right? First thing we saw, right? So we saw about how there should be how government should make tax certain, and green energy we should invest, and we saw, right? Do you remember? So this only you should talk about. So I'll just give you an example. So you should also come up with a lot of other areas, but so you try to answer from this article. Okay, so what we are talking about, minimum, there's something called as global minimum tax rate, so 15% on all MNCs, and harmonized capital gains, climate goals, startups, what issues they are facing, those areas we should more pay more focus. So first thing, this certainty, and then green bonds, green energy. Next, what startups. Next, what capital gains taxation. So you talk about these areas, how we should improve, and what is the role of G20 and OECD in this. You mention all these things. If you mention all these things, you'll get good marks. So if you can answer this, you please write the answer for it in the comment section. So just try writing it. So only if you keep writing it, your answer writing skills will improve. So that's all for today. Thanks for tuning in. If you like my content, you can like this video, you can comment, you can share it among your friends, and you can also follow us on YouTube, Instagram, Telegram, and Facebook. So that is all for today. Thanks for tuning in. We'll meet in the next class. Thank you.